Up YouTube, how you doing today? Uh, the hits just keep on coming. First Pete Buttigieg, now Amy Klobuchar. Now we got Chris Mathews, the host of No Balls, is out at MSNBC. Mr. Mathews' show Hardball has been on the air since 1997. Dude is losing it. Oh boy, say Chris Mathews, the veteran political anchor and voluble host of the long-running MSNBC talk show Hardball, resigned on Monday night, an abrupt departure from the television perch that made him a fixture of politics in the news media over the past quarter century. Now, this is almost opposite of Trump derangement syndrome. Right now, the news media, the Democratic elite, all of them are having Bernie derangement syndrome. They're losing their freaking mind. Either they're losing their freaking mind of the so-called fascists or losing their freaking mind of the so-called socialists, but they will stay sane for moderatism. They'll stay sane for that. Chris Mathews was losing his freaking mind over the fact that Bernie Sanders may be our president, and they probably thought it was unhealthy. Dude, you need to retire. You need to resign. You're losing your stuff. It don't look good. We can't have that on our network. You don't know how to keep your cool. You're saying foolish stuff. But let's read this. Mathews, 74, had faced mounting criticism in recent days over a spat of embarrassing on-air moments, including comparison of Senator Bernie Sanders' campaign to the Nazi invasion of France, and an interview with Senator Elizabeth Warren in which the anchor was criticized for condescending and disbelieving tone. On Saturday, the journalist Laura Bassett wrote for GQ magazine online that Mr. Mathews had made inappropriate comments about her appearing in the makeup room of his studio on several occasions where she was a guest on his program. Give me a moment. On Monday, a solemn Mr. Mathews began his usual 7 p.m. broadcast by announcing to his viewers, I'm retiring. This is my last hardball on MSNBC. Now, sad to see dude go, but he just can't stay sane, man. He's losing his mind. Sometimes he can say some good things and be right on some points, but when it comes to Bernie Sanders, he loses his mind. Just like when it comes to Trump, he loses his mind. In a brief monologue, he said he had agreed to step down after conversation with the network executives, adding that his exit isn't for lack of interest in politics. He's also acknowledged giving compliments on a woman's appearance that some men, including me, might have one incorrectly thought were okay. Guys, understand I got my glasses on and I can't see this phone close up. For making such comments in the past, I'm sorry, Mr. Mathews said. His sudden sign-off, though negotiated with senior network executives, came as a shock to some of Mr. Mathews' most prominent on-air colleagues. Steve Kornacki, the anchor tasked with hosting the remainder of Monday's Hardball episode, appeared stunned as the show returned from a commercial break. Now, Steve probably take over that show. That was a lot to take in, Mr. Kornacki said, his eyes wide. I'm sure you're still absorbing that, and I am too. The anchor and correspondent Katie Tour posted a note on Twitter about Mr. Mathews' departure and added the caption, "Wait, what?" An NBC spokeswoman said on Monday that a rotating series of hosts will fill in for Mr. Mathews' time slot until a permanent replacement was found. And 9 times out of 10, they'll probably get that placement. Well, she's on CNN. I was going to say they'll probably get that to Joy Reid, but she's on CNN, not MSNBC. Or is it? Or am I losing my mind? Is she MSNBC or CNN? No, she's MSNBC. She'll probably get that spot. Mr. Mathews is a eminence grise of television news. His pugilistic and red-cheeked persona familiar to viewers from countless election nights and parodies on shows like Saturday Night Live, he spoke from experience. Before his move into punditry, Mr. Mathews served as a speechwriter in the Jimmy Carter administration and spent years as chief of staff of Thomas P. O'Neill Jr., the powerful Democratic Speaker of the House in the late 70s and the much 80s. But executives at MSNBC had been discussing a potential retirement plan for Mr. Mathews for months, according to the two people familiar with internal network discussions. There was talk of shifting hardball to a less prominent time of day during MSNBC's afternoon lineup. That was before Mr. Mathews faced a sustained bout of online criticism for his on-air, again these glasses, comportment in recent weeks. On the previous Monday, he opened hardball by apologizing to viewers for clumsy metaphors and compared Mr. Sanders to dominance in the Nevada Caucasus to Germany's takeover of France in World War II. In the days and weeks and months ahead, I'll strive to do a better job myself of elevating the political discussion, Mr. Mathews pledged to viewers that night. But days later, he was under fire again, this time after Miss Bassett's article in GQ in which she said Mr. Mathews, in the makeup room, had looked at her and asked, "Why haven't I fallen in love with you yet?" She described other comments that had made her uncomfortable writing as undermining my ability to do my job. Okay, I guess why I haven't fallen in love with you yet? Okay, that's harassment. Okay. On Saturday, Mr. Mathews had been scheduled to appear as part of MSNBC's coverage of South Carolina's primary. Instead, he was absent. Mr. Mathews had been benched, according to a person briefed on private network conversation. Now, look, Chris Mathews is legendary. And he's smart, intelligent, and he knows politics. But sometimes you can get to the point where you think you know it all. And him being a legend as a political pundit, a commentator, and him having all these relationships with people in the political sphere, him being in that D.C. bubble, that New York bubble, that Washington bubble, D.C. bubble, and bougieing up with all these political figures, he's part of that class. He's part of that elite class. So obviously, when somebody, a renegade, a maverick, a buck, an old buck, started gaining some traction, it bothers him because he had a lot of corporate interests that donated to his show. He had a lot of military complex putting their commercial. He was getting paid good to be on that show. I'm quite sure he was making just as much as Rachel Mathews, because it was usually his show, and then what's his name show, Chris Hayes, and then Rachel Mathews. Chris Hayes took over for Ed Schultz. I don't know what happened to Al Sharpton's show, but I guarantee you Al Sharpton probably takes some of those places. Joy Reid probably takes some of those slots until they figure out who is going to take that slot. 9 times out of 10, it ain't going to be nobody black. All right, 9 times out of 10, it's probably be Steve Kornacki. They're not going to let black people hit primetime, nighttime, bros. So hang that up. Not on MSNBC. You go on daytime. And if you don't kiss our behind, you going to go bye-bye. You ask Melissa House Perry and a couple other black females that took the day spot. So you got to understand that this is a long time coming. Chris is losing it. He's getting older. He's going through a Joe Biden spell. That's why I keep telling you, Joe Biden ain't gonna make it through this election, bro. I'm telling you, he's not gonna make it. It's just gonna get worse from here. But that's that. Chris Ball, legendary news anchorman, political pundit, famous commentator, is now retiring. He's going to get a nice pension. He's going to get a nice check. And they'll call him back every now and then to host political shows. It doesn't mean that he's not going to be doing debate coverage or nothing like that, because you still got people that's work for CBS that long time retired that still pop up commentating. So he's still going to get a check like he's working there, and he's going to get a retirement check, and he's still going to get the perks Anytime he need a limo to go somewhere, MSNBC is going to send him a limo. Ain't nothing's changing, but he is off the air. Now, 9 out of 10, he'll probably do what some of the other people do when they get kicked off the air. They go to YouTube and start a show. And you can't stop nobody when you're doing that. Nobody owns you. That's why I keep telling people on this show, nobody owns me, bruh. You don't own me. I appreciate you contributing and being a partner with me, but you don't own me. We're a partner. You know, I'll listen to what you got to say, and if I like it, I'll act on it. If I don't agree with you, then I'm not going to agree with you. Anyway, let me get out this thing. Chris Mathews, host of No Balls, has now closed his curtain and cut the lights off on the show. Well, not the show, but they cut his lights off on the show. I'm Robert Brown with the Robert Report on the go. I'll holler at you later. Peace.